For centuries, humanity had been nothing more than a footnote in the history of the stars, a species on the edge of a galactic playground where empires larger than any human could imagine spanned the reaches of 3 galaxies. Humanity was seen as primitive, fragile, and insignificant. The Orcs Empire, the Zephyri, and the Andari had long dominated space, and they held the belief that no species could ever challenge their authority. Their technology was far ahead of anything Earth could muster. They laughed at the idea of a human threat. The Council of the Galactic Consortiums dismissed Earth as nothing more than a curiosity, at best a wayward species that would eventually be snuffed out as all others had been before it. The Orcs, with their towering warships and their brutal strategies, ruled the Outer Rim with an iron fist. They enslaved weaker species and devoured entire planets in the blink of an eye. Their culture was one of survival of the fittest, and they took great pride in their dominance. The Zephyri were more subtle yet no less dangerous. Their hyper-intelligent minds and impeccable engineering made them masters of manipulation. Their control over trade routes and technology ensured that they held the balance of power, while the Andari were an ancient race of thinkers. Their highly advanced ships and exploration of quantum mechanics made them almost untouchable in their own right. For all their greatness, however, they shared one thing in common: they all underestimated Earth. The humans had always been seen as a nuisance, a species that had yet to leave their homeworld, a race that could barely comprehend the vastness of the universe. But all of that was about to change in the cold expanse of space. Far from the prying eyes of the galactic powers, humanity had begun to awaken an ancient and primal power they had unknowingly carried within them for millennia. Hidden beneath the surface of Earth in underground bunkers buried deep in the oceans and far beneath mountains, humanity had been working furiously in secret for decades, building something that could change the course of history. They called it Project Prometheus, the name a symbol of their desire to conquer the unknown. No one had ever suspected the humans had the capacity to build a fleet capable of standing toe-to-toe with the galaxy's mightiest empires. Yet with every passing year, the Terran fleet grew in silence. Their ships, large and powerful, were unlike anything the Orcs or Zephyri had ever seen, made of materials not found in any galactic catalog and powered by engines that defied the laws of physics. They were unlike anything the galaxy had ever encountered. They were a symbol of humanity's ingenuity and determination to survive, to prove that they were not the fragile species others thought them to be. The galactic powers took little notice when the first of the ships tested its engines in the far reaches of the solar system. They did not know of the strange energy pulses emanating from Earth's orbit, or the strange signals that flickered across their scanners. It was only when the Orcs sent a scout ship to Earth's system that they realized something was terribly wrong. They arrived expecting an easy conquest to wipe out the primitive species and take control of a relatively unimportant planet. But they arrived to find that humanity had already been preparing for war, and they were about to learn the most important lesson of all: humans would never be anyone's prey. Hidden from the prying eyes of the galaxy, deep beneath the surface of Earth, humanity's greatest secret was quietly taking shape. The world above had no clue that the very ground beneath their feet held the seeds of a revolution that would shatter everything they knew about the universe. Beneath mountains and oceans, in vast cavernous spaces, miles from the light of day, hundreds of thousands of engineers, scientists, and laborers worked tirelessly on what would become the most advanced fleet in the known universe. Construction sites, hidden in plain sight, masked by electromagnetic fields and cloaking technologies built over generations. The human fleet was more than just ships. It was a new way of thinking, a new approach to war and survival, and it was ready to be unleashed. The first designs were simple by necessity, with human technology, at the time nothing more than a crude imitation of the galactic standard. But as time passed and the need for secrecy grew, Earth's brightest minds made breakthroughs. No one in the galaxy had expected. Humanity had tapped into something the others could not even comprehend, an ancient and long-lost form of energy discovered from relics left behind by the first human colonists who had ventured beyond Earth thousands of years ago, a force so potent it could power machines that defied the conventional understanding of physics. It was called the graviton core, a miniature star contained within a single unit of unfathomable power. With this newfound energy, humanity began to build ships that outstripped anything the galaxy had seen. The first dreadnoughts were massive, their hulls reinforced with materials pulled from the deepest reaches of the Earth's mantle, combined with alloys not found on any chart. The designs were inspired by human warfare ingenuity, mixing cutting-edge technology with organic intuition. Ships like no others, massive, powerful, and deadly, they could accelerate faster than any known craft, and their weapons were designed to obliterate entire fleets with a single strike. The human engineers used what they called quantum arc cannons, weapons that could fire bursts of condensed plasma capable of tearing through even the most reinforced alien ship armor, and their shields were nearly impenetrable, using a form of electromagnetic field that could absorb energy and redirect it back at their attackers. Nothing in the galaxy's arsenal could stand against them, not the Ixorax's brutal warships, nor the Andari's quantum devices, nor the Zephyri's cunning techniques. Humanity had found the key to true power, and they were ready to show it to the universe. It wasn't just about the technology, though it was the mindset that came with it. The humans had a drive, a determination that no empire could match. The humans did not fight for conquest or for dominion. They fought to survive. They fought because their home world was all they had, and they would protect it at any cost, no matter the odds, no matter the enemy that stood before them. Their ships were not mere machines. They were symbols of a people that refused to bow to anyone. And so they worked day and night, in secret, constructing not only ships, but a fleet, an entire armada that would be the equal of the galaxy's greatest powers. The dreadnoughts grew in number as the years passed. They multiplied, hidden beneath Earth's crust, ready to burst forth into the stars. The universe had no idea what was coming. All they saw was a small, insignificant species on the edge of the galaxy. While humanity worked to change that very fact, they were preparing to make their mark on the universe, and they would not be ignored any longer. The Ixorax Empire was ruthless, a culture of war, built on the survival of the fittest. Their ships were colossal and their weapons devastating. They had conquered countless worlds and reduced entire civilizations to ashes. They ruled with fear, and their reputation stretched across galaxies. The human race had always been seen as insignificant and weak by the Ixorax, but this perception would soon be shattered in the cold vacuum of space. The Ixorax made their fateful decision to send a scout ship to Earth. They had heard whispers of strange signals and odd readings emanating from the far edge of the solar system, and while the Empire had laughed it off for years, they decided to investigate and deal with the humans once and for all. The scout ship entered Earth's orbit undetected by the primitive technology of the humans. But what the Ixorax did not know was that Earth had long since advanced beyond the point they could have imagined. The moment the Ixorax ship entered the solar system, a signal was sent from Earth to the hidden fleet buried deep within the planet. Humanity had been waiting for this moment. They had anticipated the day the galaxy's empires would test them, and they were ready. They had prepared for this day. And the first dreadnought to emerge was a silent titan. It cut through space like a shadow of death. No warning, no negotiation, just a precise and deliberate strike. The Ixorax scout ship detected the approaching dreadnought too late. Before they could react, the ship fired a single pulse from its quantum arc cannon, a burst of plasma, so powerful it tore the Ixorax ship in half with a single blast. The scout ship did not even have time to send a distress signal. The remaining Ixorax fleet, now aware of the threat, immediately dispatched reinforcements. They had never faced a threat like this, and they were not prepared for what came next. The second dreadnought arrived moments later, its engines glowing with the intensity of a dying star. It emerged from the asteroid belt, undetected until it was right on top of the Ixorax fleet. A second shot from the quantum arc cannon ripped through the space between them, obliterating one of the Ixorax's largest warships. As if it were made of paper, the Ixorax were thrown into chaos, their ships scattered and disorganized as they tried to regroup, but nothing they did could slow the human assault. The third dreadnought arrived soon after, bringing with it a fleet of smaller support ships, each one designed for specific roles in the fight. From heavy artillery to stealth operations, humanity's fleet was a well-oiled machine that moved with terrifying precision. The Ixorax attempted to retaliate, but their attacks were useless against the human technology. Their missiles were intercepted, their lasers bent by the electromagnetic shield surrounding the Dreadnoughts. The humans moved with unmatched coordination, using tactics no one had seen before, and soon the Ixorax realized they were being overwhelmed. Their entire fleet was in danger of being annihilated. Just when it seemed as though the Ixorax might be able to regroup, their ships began to experience strange malfunctions. The artificial intelligence systems designed to guide their warships began to fail. Entire fleets were left drifting in space, unable to communicate with one another, unable to fire their weapons. One by one, the ships were picked off by the relentless human fleet until there was nothing left but debris and silence. The Ixorax had suffered their first defeat, and they could not comprehend how it had happened. The humans had proved that they were no longer the prey, they were no longer the weak species they had once been so easily dismissed. They had shown the galaxy that they were a force to be reckoned with, and that the name Earth would be remembered by every empire across the stars. The Ixorax now realized the terrible mistake they had made, and they would never forget the wrath of the Terran Dreadnoughts. The defeat of the Ixorax spread like wildfire across the galaxies, a crack in the perceived order of the universe. A tiny species of insignificant humans had brought down one of the mightiest empires in existence. The galaxy's ruling powers were stunned. The Ixorax had been one of the fiercest and most ruthless of the galactic forces, and yet they were destroyed in moments by the humans. This could not go unanswered. The Zephyri and the Andari were not like the Ixorax. They were far more subtle, far more strategic. Their strength lay not in brute force, but in intellect and diplomacy. But even they could not ignore the threat humanity posed. The Zephyri were a species known for their keen minds, their advanced technology, and their mastery over trade and politics. They had built vast empires. Through manipulation and cunning, they ruled the galaxy's most important trade routes and controlled the flow of knowledge and resources. The Andari, on the other hand, were an ancient race of explorers and scientists. Their civilization was founded on the pursuit of knowledge, and they were unmatched in their understanding of the universe and the laws of nature. Both species have been watching Earth's rise with a mixture of curiosity and disdain. They viewed humanity as a primitive species with little potential for anything beyond survival, and they believed the Ixorax's defeat to be an anomaly. But the longer they looked, the more they saw a growing threat. Humanity was rapidly advancing, and this had to be stopped before it was too late. The Zephyri Council met in secret to discuss their options. They could not allow humanity to continue growing unchecked. Their influence was beginning to spread, and if they were not careful, the humans might soon control critical sectors of the galaxy. Their fleets might even rival the Zephyri themselves. The Andari were of the same mind. They too had watched the humans with growing concern. Their scientific knowledge had allowed them to track the strange energy readings emanating from Earth, and they too knew the humans were no longer the weaklings they had once been. Together, the two powers sent a fleet to Earth, not to conquer, but to test, to gauge the true strength of this new human threat. Their ships were fast and precise, their tactics honed through centuries of conflict. They arrived in Earth's orbit with little fanfare, their fleets moving through the stars like shadows. They knew that humanity would be watching. They knew they would have to strike with precision. But what they did not know was that the humans were already waiting for them. The humans had anticipated this move for years. They knew the Zephyri and Andari would come sooner or later to investigate or destroy, and so they had prepared their fleet. Even further, they had anticipated the tactics of the Zephyri, their ability to manipulate and deceive, and the Andari's mastery of science and engineering. Humanity had accounted for all of it, and they had built their dreadnoughts to exploit every weakness. When the two fleets entered the solar system, they were met not by a single ship or a small force, but by an entire armada. Humanity's full fleet stood in wait, hidden in the asteroid fields and behind the moons of the gas giants. The first wave of Zephyri and Andari ships were detected immediately, but before they could react, humanity's ships moved with frightening precision, using cloaking devices that the galactic powers had no knowledge of, and attacking from angles that made it impossible for the aliens to defend themselves. The first volley of plasma cannons hit the Zephyri ships, before they could even respond, sending entire warships into flames. As their shields were overloaded, the Andorre retaliated with their advanced energy weapons, but humanity's electromagnetic shields absorbed every blast, redirected it back at the enemy with terrifying force. The alien fleets were caught off guard. They had thought themselves prepared, but they had not anticipated the full scale of the human response. Humanity was no longer the weak species they had believed them to be. They were a force of nature, a predator that would no longer be prey. As the battle raged on the Zephyri and Andorre realized the horrifying truth. The humans were no longer playing their game. They were rewriting the rules, and the universe would have to adapt or perish. The battle raged across the void of space as the human fleet and the combined forces of the Zephyri and Andorre clashed in a furious storm of fire and metal. The two alien fleets were caught off guard by the sudden ferocity of the human response. Their precision and coordination were unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. No one had expected this kind of fight. Humanity had no fleet-wide combat doctrine, no centuries-old tradition of warfare. They fought as individuals using a raw and primal cunning that the aliens struggled to comprehend. It was chaos and beauty intertwined, and it turned the tide of the battle before the first volley had even been fired. The Zephyri and Andorre commanders had already realized they were in a fight for survival, not dominance. The humans used their dreadnoughts as the core of their strategy, but they did not rely solely on their size or firepower. They used every advantage. Their knowledge of the terrain of their home system allowed them to bend the rules of space combat. Their ships moved with an organic fluidity that defied conventional tactics, while the Zephyri and Andorre ships tried to maintain formation. The humans struck unpredictably from every angle, launching surprise attacks that left their enemies unable to respond. And as the battle continued, it became clear that the human fleet was not merely defending Earth. They were fighting to annihilate the invaders. Humanity's ships moved through the asteroid fields like ghosts, cutting through space with ease, while the enemy struggled to maintain any semblance of control. Their weapons were adapted to take on the full might of alien fleets, and each dreadnought unleashed devastating salvos that shattered entire sections of enemy lines. With ease, Zephyri warships that once seemed unstoppable now broke apart under the barrage, their once mighty shields crumbling under the onslaught. In the aftermath of the battle, the galaxy was left in stunned silence. The Zephyri and Andorre fleets limped away from Earth's orbit, their pride shattered, their forces devastated. But what the galaxy did not know was that they had witnessed only the beginning of what humanity was capable of. While the alien fleets retreated to regroup, the humans were not content to rest on their laurels. They had learned too much from their first encounter. They had glimpsed the true power within their grasp, and now they would push forward to ensure that the universe understood the full extent of their potential. Humanity had not just defeated two of the galaxy's most powerful empires. They had broken through the perception of their own weakness. They had unlocked something greater than advanced technology or superior weaponry. They had tapped into the hidden potential of their collective willpower. They had discovered a power within themselves that no one could have predicted, a power born not from their machines, but from their very humanity, their drive to survive, their desire to protect their home, and their ability to adapt faster than any empire had ever imagined. After the battle, humanity's fleet did not simply retreat into the shadows. They made a deliberate move to expand their influence. They began to systematically dismantle any lingering threats on the fringes of their territory, securing their system and establishing fortresses on every moon and asteroid they could claim within their solar system. They built a network of defense stations that covered every inch of their home and began constructing outposts on the distant planets they had once considered outposts for colonization. Now they were becoming bastions of power. Humanity's dreadnoughts were deployed in patrols beyond the outer limits of Earth's orbit. Their weapons were not idle, but ever watchful, ensuring that no threat would dare approach again. The first true test came when the Shalvari, a mysterious species from the unknown sectors of the galaxy, approached Earth. They were a race known for their abilities to manipulate dark energy and had never been encountered by any of the known galactic empires. Their ships appeared without warning and moved silently through the void. At first their motives were unclear, but their message was unmistakable. They had come to Earth to see if the humans could be contained or destroyed. Humanity did not hesitate. Their dreadnoughts were on high alert. The second Shalvari ship entered the solar system. The humans had already prepared for this moment. Their systems were ready, their weapons were primed. The Shalvari expected the humans to cower or negotiate. They believed the humans had no experience with such a mysterious and dangerous power, but humanity had no intention of retreating or parleying. They had learned their lesson from their first encounter with the Galaxies' empires, and they would not allow anyone to take advantage of their newfound strength. The first contact was brief and violent. The Shalvari attempted to use their dark energy manipulation to cripple human ships, but they were unprepared for the effectiveness of the human shields, which absorbed the energy and redirected it with deadly accuracy. The human dreadnoughts unleashed a torrent of firepower that overwhelmed the Shalvari's defenses. Within moments, they had disabled the ship and captured their leader for interrogation. The Shalvari had underestimated the humans once again. They had believed that humanity's triumph over the Zephyri and Andari was a fluke, that they could deal with the humans using their superior manipulation of dark matter, but humanity had grown beyond that. They had evolved into something far more dangerous, something no one in the galaxy had expected. They were a force unlike any other, and their relentless pursuit of survival and dominance had only just begun. As the Shalvari retreated humiliated and defeated, the rest of the galaxy watched in stunned silence. The humans had once again shown that they would not be underestimated, but this time there would be no more doubt, no more ridicule. They had shown their strength to the universe, and the universe would have to reckon with them. The defeat of the Shalvari and the earlier victories over the Zephyri and Andari marked a turning point in galactic history. The humans had proven themselves more than a simple backwater species to be ignored. Their victories had sent ripples through the galaxy, reverberating across countless star systems. While many empires retreated into caution, there were others who saw the humans not as a threat to be destroyed, but as an opportunity to be exploited. The galaxy's political balance began to shift. The old power structures that had ruled for millennia started to crack as new alliances formed in the shadow of humanity's rise. The Terran fleet now stood as the most powerful military force in the known galaxy, their dreadnoughts a symbol of their unyielding will and technological prowess. No empire had been able to stand against them, and those who dared challenge the humans were met with swift and devastating retaliation. The people of Earth had long believed in the strength of their unity, their will to survive, and now that belief had forged an empire unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. Humanity's leaders were pragmatic, not driven by conquest for the sake of conquest, but by a desire to protect their home and ensure that no one would ever again threaten their existence. They had built an empire not through domination, but through the sheer force of will and determination. They had forged their dominion in the fire of battle, and through their collective resolve, they began to establish an order that would transcend the chaos of the old galactic powers. The first step in this new era was to secure humanity's position as a force to be reckoned with on the galactic stage. The humans sought not just power but legitimacy. They extended olive branches to the weaker races of the galaxy, offering them protection and the chance to join the Terran Dominion. On equal footing, they built colonies on distant planets, offering the promise of stability and prosperity under their protection. The Terran fleet grew in strength and numbers as new allies joined their cause. The newly formed Terran Dominion quickly began to flex its muscles. They sent emissaries to the former empires that had once ignored or belittled humanity, demanding recognition and respect. The Andari, who had retreated from Earth after their defeat, were the first to negotiate for peace. They had seen the writing on the wall. The humans were no longer a species to be treated as inferior, and if they were to survive in the galaxy, they would have to treat humanity as an equal. As the Terran Dominion expanded its influence, it did not simply conquer, but built alliances through a combination of strength and diplomacy. They began to influence the Galactic Council, the very seat of power that had once considered Earth a curiosity. They did not ask for permission, they demanded respect, and they would have it on their own terms. Humanity's presence in the galaxy was no longer something to be feared alone. It was something to be reckoned with. For the first time in millennia, the balance of power was shifting. The old empires would have to contend with the Terran Dominion, whether they liked it or not. However, the galaxy was vast, and not all powers were willing to bend the knee to humanity. That Tsukra, a ruthless alien race known for their bloodthirsty conquests, had been watching Earth's rise with growing animosity. They had been silent observers up until this point, but now it was clear to them that the Terran dominion was expanding too quickly, and their ambition could threaten the delicate balance of power. The Tsukra saw humanity not as a new ally, but as an obstacle that needed to be eliminated before it grew too strong. And so they began to make plans of their own. A new war was on the horizon, one that would test humanity's resolve as never before. The Tsukra were unlike anything humanity had faced before, a brutal and savage race known for their insatiable hunger for conquest. They were not content to simply defend their territories. They reveled in destruction and sought only to expand their empire at the expense of all others. For years, they had watched the rise of the Terran dominion from the shadows, and now they saw it as a direct threat to their own power. The time for diplomacy had passed, and the Tsukra made their move. They would bring humanity to its knees before it could grow any stronger. They struck at humanity's most vulnerable flank, launching a surprise attack against a Terran colony on the edge of the Dominion space. The humans had no idea that Tsukra were even near their borders. The attack was swift and brutal. Their warships descended on the colony like a storm, obliterating everything in their path. The humans fought back with everything they had, but the Tsukra were relentless. Their ships were faster, more agile, and their warriors savage. Their invasion force quickly overwhelmed the defenses, and before the Terran fleet could mobilize, it was too late. The Tsukra had proven their intent. Humanity had underestimated them, and now the price would be paid. But the Tsukra had made a critical mistake. They had not anticipated humanity's resolve, or the unity that bound its people together. The moment the attack was discovered, the Terran dominion rallied in full force. Every dreadnought that could be mobilized was sent to the front lines. The people of Earth responded as one. They had faced extinction before, and they would not bow to another alien empire. No matter how fierce their warriors were, humanity had built its strength on survival, and now it would use that strength to annihilate the Tsukra. The Tsukra believed their victory would break humanity's spirit, but instead it united them even more. The Terran fleet moved with incredible precision as it descended on the Tsukra armada. Their ships moved in perfect synchrony, every strike calculated, every movement deliberate. They used tactics they had developed over years of warfare, and their knowledge of the Tsukra's brutal style of combat gave them a critical edge. They hit the Tsukra where it hurt the most, targeting their supply lines and crippling their command structure. The Tsukra could not maintain the pace of battle, and soon their forces began to fracture. Humanity's dreadnoughts tore through the Tsukra fleet with unrelenting firepower. Their quantum arc cannons unleashed a barrage of plasma that disintegrated entire ships. In an instant, the Tsukra warships that once seemed indestructible now shattered under the assault. Humanity's shields absorbed and redirected every energy attack with devastating effect. Their tactics were flawless, and the Tsukra could not adapt fast enough. The final blow came when humanity's flagship, the Erebus, led a direct assault on the Tsukra's command vessel. It was a battle of attrition, but the Terran fleet had one advantage: their sheer will to survive. They fought not just for victory, but for their home, their families, and their future. Humanity was not just defending a colony, they were defending everything they had fought for. The Erebus fired its quantum arc cannon one final time, and the Tsukra's command vessel erupted in a massive explosion. The heart of their fleet was destroyed in an instant. The Tsukra were finished. Their invasion had failed, and their forces were broken, scattered across the stars. Humanity had won the final battle, and the galaxy knew it. The Terran dominion had proven beyond a doubt that they would no longer be ignored, no longer be treated as weak. Their rise was complete, and the universe would forever remember the name Earth. In the aftermath, humanity solidified its place among the stars. They had fought for their survival, and in doing so had built an empire based on strength, unity, and unwavering resolve. The old empires of the galaxy watched with a mixture of fear and respect as humanity continued to expand their reach and influence. The balance of power had shifted, and the Terran dominion stood at the center of it all. A new era had begun, one where humanity would not just survive, but thrive as the true power in the galaxy.